Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly episodes where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us today on the Media Boat Podcast. Today is June the 11th, 2024. It is episode 439, 440 next week. That's pretty cool. But in the meantime, 439 today.
Yes, just on the cusp of that 440 number. So let's get right into it, where we start with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard, and start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And at number one, I Had Some Help by Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen.
Hmm.
Coming in at two is Houdini, but not that Houdini, the other Houdini. Both released in the same year. So Wikipedia, good luck keeping track of which one is which. This is Houdini by Eminem.
I'll tell you the difference. One I like, the other I'm never going to listen to.
Y'all figure out which is which.
Yeah, you can figure that out at home.
At $3 Million Baby by Tommy Richmond. Coming at four, A Bar Song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. And running at your top five, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Houdini, your only new song in the top five.
Yes, and apparently narrowly missed number one this week. Just beaten out, just edged out by Post Malone and Morgan Wallen there.
As for your Billboard chart, your album chart, your Billboard 200, coming in at one is still The Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Coming at two is Golden Hour, but not that Golden Hour. Golden Hour, Part 1 EP by A Tease or At Ease.
80s? I don't know.
ATZ. At three, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish, dropping a spot there. Coming in at four, One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. And rounding out your top five, Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going by Shabuzi.
I really don't like this album name because that is an unnecessary comma.
Where I've Been, comma, isn't where I'm going.
That is an unnecessary comma. You don't need a comma there.
I mean, yes, but also no. It's the Oxford comma.
No, no, it's not. That's literally not an Oxford comma. It is not a list of things.
It is. He just
No,
hasn't
it's not.
finished the list.
No, it's not. The comma doesn't belong. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
That made me mad.
because it's like this. Where I've been isn't where I'm going.
That's not correct grammar. The sentence.
Shabuzi.
It's not correct grammar. Anyway, we do not have
Well,
time.
neither is a bar song, parentheses, Tipsy by
Fritzies are
Shabuzi.
fine. Whatever. Anyways, moving on.
I'm sorry, but when is a bar song not about being tipsy?
You could
It's kind of
engage in
implied.
a bar song stone cold sober if you want.
I
No one's
only
stopping
engage in a
you.
bar song if it's with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Anyway,
Anyways, we have if you didn't like any of those albums, or you want to knock off the grammatically incorrect album name, we have new releases, starting with Hummingbird by Carly Pierce. Yes, that Carly
yes, that
Pierce.
Carly Pierce.
The Gloss by Cola. Optical Illusion by John Cale. Fathers and Sons by Luke Combs,
Yes,
just in time for Father's Day.
that Luke Combs.
Timeless by Megan Trainor.
Yeah.
Yes, that Megan Trainor. Dopamine by Normani. Visions Out of Limelight by RJD 2. And lastly, As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again by the Decemberists. Is that comma correct?
That comma is correct. Yes.
All right. Now that we've thoroughly discussed commas, let's discuss keys, specifically
Yes.
the Black Keys,
Hmm.
where that band and managers Irving Azoff and Steve Moore have parted ways after the sudden and thoroughly publicized cancellation of the band's North American arena tour previously scheduled for the fall. A rep for Azoff confirmed the split to Variety late Thursday, calling it an amicable parting, close quote. A rep for the group did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The news was first reported by the New York Times. The band's 31-date International Players Tour was scheduled to begin on September 17th in Oklahoma, but was quietly canceled over Memorial Day weekend, with the dates disappearing from the Ticketmaster website.
So this is just a little follow-up from what we've been talking about over the last few weeks about these giant arena tours being canceled due to lack of enthusiasm, I guess you could chalk it up to. And or bad management. The Black Keys would like you to believe it's because of bad management. They did make a statement, it's not in the story, that they do have a story to tell, quote unquote, about what went down here, and that they want to, quote, prevent it from happening to others, unquote, which makes me wonder what was happening behind the scenes and what the members of the Black Keys plan on doing or plan on telling other bands or artists about what they did that they probably shouldn't have. Whatever it is, it's got to be something specific. It's got to be quite an adventure that they just went through, because to cancel that big of a tour and to downsize it to smaller venues is like quite a difference.
And then to just top it all off, um, remove your managers,
Yeah,
you get new representation.
makes
Uh,
you wonder.
Makes you wonder if it was really management issues or if they just
Mhm.
tried to oversell it because more arenas, more money, more tickets, and got greedy. And Black Keys were like, we can't play this.
Yeah.
You're not managing us correctly.
I think greed is definitely part of it. I would not be surprised. So yeah, we will wait until more comes out because I'm sure there's some juicy nuggets awaiting us for this.
Yes,
So
we'll have to wait until the Black Keys do a Q&A in a coffee house.
exactly. Is that what you think that they do?
I mean, yeah, they're not going to um a bar, a bar song.
Yeah, to hang out with Shabuzi and get
Yes,
tipsy. Get parentheses
exactly.
tipsy.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Anyways, we both listened to an album and one that
Yes.
you won't find in a bar and probably
Yeah,
not
no.
at a coffee shop.
No, it is in the club.
Oh,
And
this is not in the club. This is the club.
it is in the club, and when Charlie is in the club, she wants you to play the club classics. And here's my question for you. Do you think in 10 years the songs on Brat, the new album by Charlie XCX, will be the new club classics?
In 10 years, I mean, currently I want to say no, just because of the way I felt about the album.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like this is not for you.
No, I mean, when I played it, I was like, oh, I'm in the club. Oh, this is just straight up her DJ set that she's doing now. And I was like both happy about it, and then it kept going, and it just the entire DJ set, and I was like, okay, so this is just what it is now. Is this just what she does now? I guess.
That is a good way of phrasing it, because what she does now was kind of up in the air for the last few records. Charlie is an artist who has gone through a little bit of a zigzag pattern through her career. When she started, everybody thought it's like, oh, they're marketing to her to be the next pop girl. Like she was supposed to be like the next big deal, like boom clap. She had features on a bunch of songs in the early 2010s where it seemed like she was being pushed in a mainstream pop direction. And then at some point, she decided that that wasn't who she wanted to be anymore. With the album Pop 2, she decided, no, actually, I'm going to work with all these experimental electronic artists. I'm going to zig in the other direction. Then she zagged again last year with Crash, which kind of tried to like balance the scales a little bit by giving just enough to the mainstream pop people who wanted her to go that direction and just enough to the experimental people who wanted her to stay that way. And it kind of ended up in diminishing returns. It did not have the mainstream success that I think her label wanted for her. So she has opened up the window, thrown that strategy out, and here she has returned with Brat. And you're right. There's a reason why she launched this record by going to clubs and spinning it and DJ sets, because this is what she wants it to be. This is the artist she has now chosen to be. She has fully dedicated herself to being an underground, electronic adjacent, underground pop artist. She has left the mainstream behind completely now. And this is now who she wants to identify as. And I think, even though it might not be for you, and it's definitely not for friend of the show, Christy, I think that this is the best she's ever sounded. I think she's found it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I didn't hate it upon the first listen. It's just that it just kept going. It was just a full-on DJ set. And it
Yeah.
took me back. Oh my God, that is now 10 years ago. I'm just
Oh yeah.
outdating myself of when, we would just go out to those kind of places.
That was longer than 10 years ago. Let me tell you,
No, no,
that
that was the
was
last time I
12,
went was 10 years
yeah,
ago.
12, 13 years ago.
Yes.
If you really want to feel old. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, long
So
story
to
short,
answer your original question, is
yeah.
this what we're going to be listening to in 10 years in malls and stuff?
No,
I don't know.
I didn't say malls. There's a reason why I said the club.
Okay,
Um,
yes, in the
so
club.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what this thing is. It's very much experimental, kind of like electronic, adjacent, pop music. I think that it works for what it is. I think it's interesting that a lot of the reviews I've read are not referencing her second to last record, 2010s or 2020s, This Is How I'm Feeling Now, her pandemic record, because it does have a lot of ties to that one too. Because not only are you getting a Charlie who is like feels invigorated in the kind of club music she wants to make, but you're also hearing that personable, like sentimental side to her that we got from that record. It kind of includes very personal lyrics for a record that is ostensibly to be played at the club. Many of these songs are about her relationship with her boyfriend, who just happens to be a member of the 1975. No, not that one. Some
Yes,
of the
that 1975, not
Yes,
that member.
yeah, not that member. However, um, there is a handful of lyrics in "Sympathy Is a Knife" that may or may not reference that person who you're thinking about right now, and about how she's a little nervous that that person might be backstage right now, and how that makes her feel. There are other lyrics on here that are more specific about an unnamed rival slash friend, in the song Girl So Embarrassing. Whether or not that person is Lord remains unclear. It's Lord. But yeah, there's a lot of personal lyrics here. This seems like she's kind of opening a little bit of a door to a bit of a diary, especially on one of the last songs, in which she talks about kind of the anxiety she's having as a woman in her 30s, having friends that have children, and how that makes her feel about whether she wants her own children and whether or not she would potentially end her career, as an entertainer to do that. It's really introspective, and I was not expecting that in a record, one, called Brat, and two, that involves such wall to wall bangers otherwise outside of those songs. So it's a really fascinating album that I think ends up giving me personally, and I think a lot of people, judging by how it's received critically so far, what they've wanted from Charlie, which is club songs that are fun to dance to, but also those moments of, no, I'm reminding you I'm a real person, but in a different way than maybe Taylor has given us this year or Ariana has given us this year. It is a different kind of pop record. In a lot of ways, it is a breath of fresh air.
Any other thoughts?
Mhm.
You just kind of kept going there.
Yeah, because there's a lot happening here.
Yeah. So mileage may vary.
I guess so, but I think that objective, yeah, there's some subjective things. I feel like if you're not a fan of that kind of more intense, more kind of trying to think of the word. Potentially jarring effects on your electronic music. If you like it a little bit more easy listening, you're not going to like what she has here. It is very much in that direction. It is not a mainstream record. You're not going to hear these songs on the radio. But yeah, but for what it is, I think she delivered the thing that she needed to do to move to the next step of her career. I think she kind of waffled back and forth a little bit about what she wanted to be, and I think ultimately she's found it here.
All right. Well, did you listen to anything else?
No, that was pretty much all I had time for. I mean, I didn't even have time for this on Friday. I had to wait till yesterday to finally listen to this thing. So,
All right, then let's get into the next section of video games, where we start
yes.
with new releases. And we have Rocket Knight's Adventure, Resparked for the PC, PS5, PS4, and the Switch.
Yep.
Monster Hunter Stories, a 2024 remaster for the PC, PS4, and the Switch. And lastly, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Vengeance for everything. You got it, you can play it. You got your big release for the week.
Yeah, so no new games. That if you notice, that is all like remakes of older games. However, if you want new stuff to play, go on Steam right now. Steam Next Fest is happening. Download all the demos that you would like, play new games to your content, including a bunch of stuff that we'll talk about that were featured in Summer Game Fest.
Yes, because we are finally here. E3 has made its big triumphant return online in the form of Summer Games Fest. So, where do we begin?
Well, let's just look at Summer Game Fest, the show that was took place on Friday to kind of give us a starting point. I watched a lot more than just Summer Game Fest. I watched the Day of the Devs that followed it. I watched the Wholesome Game Showcase the following morning, as well as the Women-led game showcases, and also the Latin American Game Showcase. I saw a lot of games over the weekend and I got a taste of all sorts of different games. However, most people probably just watched Jeff Keighley's big Friday thing. So we'll focus on that to start, I think.
Okay. You're gonna have to drive because
Yeah, no
I did
problem.
not watch any of this.
Yeah, not a
Well,
problem.
because
I watched
between
this.
this and like I said, the Day of the Dev and the Apple announcements that were
Yeah.
yesterday, just a lot of news came out in like 3 days.
Well, what I will say is I think you will be happy with a lot of stuff they showed. Again, just like the Sony show, this was very mic coded. A lot of stuff that you will really enjoy. Starting with a banger for you. Hey, do you like Horizon? Hey, do you also like Lego? I know you like both of those things. Well, what if you peanut butter and chocolated them together and gave you Lego Horizon Adventures? How excited are you for this?
See, this sounds good, but I don't know if peanut butter and chocolate is the right analogy to use because I like both of those things. I like both of the things together,
Mhm.
but I think this is more like cheesecake and a Cuban sandwich.
What?
Both are really, really delicious on their own. I don't know how well they're actually going to be together.
That's interesting because the little footage that they showed, I'm pretty convinced that they can pull this off. Think about it this way. Here's my pitch. Horizon is already a game about knocking pieces off of things to destroy them. That's a perfect analog for Lego. You knock pieces off of Legos, boom, pieces, pieces, you're good.
Okay. Remember how anti-Horizon I was when that first trailer came out?
Uh,
And I had no idea what I was getting into? Same feelings here. I have
really.
no idea what it is they're actually getting into here.
Well, to be fair, we also don't know the full picture here. We don't know how much of a Lego game this is. We also kind of don't know how much of a Horizon game this is. It does seem like you'll be doing Horizon things with Lego characters, and there is some sort of building, including what appears to be like a whole mode where you do like some base building stuff. It's all over the place, but we also don't know a whole lot of details quite yet. It is pretty early. Also, how do you feel about this being a Switch game as well?
I'm fine with it being a Switch game. I'm fine with this being on other platforms because this is, I want to say, more so a Lego game than it is a Horizon game. And Lego games
Sure,
just go great everywhere.
they do. They do. I think that that's why you see it there. I think it's smart. All right, so let's go through the rest of the show here a little faster for the stuff that we don't really care about, including something we definitely don't care about, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Hey, remember the last time they tried this as on the PS2? That worked really well
Remember how they couldn't have this in Hogwarts Legacy?
because they were making this. So yeah, that sucks. Next up, we have first-person shooters zombie game called No Room More Room in Hell 2. I guess there was more room in hell. They lied. Next up, we saw some really brief footage about Star Wars Outlaws. We got more in the Ubisoft Forward show that happened
Mhm.
yesterday. I did not watch that, but people seem to be really impressed with Outlaws. Seems like a really cool open world Star Wars game.
Based on the trailers,
Yeah.
no one's had actual gameplay yet.
Well, there was some hands-on previews that reactions are coming out today about those. So go to your favorite press outlet of choice and learn more about the actual gameplay of Outlaws. Next up, Sid Meier's fans got Civilization 7 announced, so a
Yep.
new Civ game is on its way.
This is one trailer that I did see and was excited for.
Yeah.
Civ 6, I think, came out for the PlayStation. I don't think it was the PS Plus. I think it was part of the PlayStation Extra. So I did get my hands to play on that. Still strategy games.
Still a strategy game.
Yep.
Next up, they
It's
showed
nice
some
that it's
more
to be a
foot.
PC and console simultaneous
Yes,
release, and you're not going to be waiting.
that's smart. Yeah, I think that's more than about time for that.
Yes.
Next up, they showed a little bit more footage of the very soon October release of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So get your Dragon Ball fighting game on. They showed footage of a VR Batman Arkham game called Arkham Shadow. VR Batman if you want that kind of
Yep.
thing.
There's a trailer for this a couple weeks ago, which everyone was all excited for.
Yep.
Until the end, they showed that it was for Meta
Yeah.
Quest 3.
Hmm. Hey, that's where VR is.
Yep.
Anyway, fighting game fans were really excited by the announcement that SNK characters from the Fatal Fury series are coming to Street Fighter 6. That will open up Street Fighter 6's Season 2 with 4 new characters, including classic Fatal Fury characters Terry and Mai. So that's exciting for a certain quadrant of the video game community. Well, there was more SNK Fatal Fury news later. Before that, though, one of the coolest things I thought was announced on the show was that Blumhouse Games came on stage to introduce their games, plural, that they are planning to launch in their new video game initiative. Before this, we had just assumed that they were working on one game. Instead, they came out swinging with a bunch of titles that they're publishing. Um,
This is Blumhouse, the horror people, right?
Correct, yes. The very same. The co-founder of Blumhouse, Jason Blum himself, actually was on stage to talk about a little bit of this. So it includes a bunch of games by a bunch of different public developers. They're publishing all of them. One of them of note is none other than the next one of the next games by Half Mermaid, the developer behind Immortality. All we know about that
Hmm.
is that it's called Project C, and that Blumhouse will be publishing it. And also, Patrick Cronenberg, who I believe is the son of, yes, that David Cronenberg, will be involved in that game. So that's pretty exciting. So yeah, very exciting to time if you love the Blumhouse style of horror. Also in the Mike wheelhouse, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Rita's Rewind, an old school beat 'em up with the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in it. How excited are you for this?
So I saw the screenshot for this. I thought this was just someone doing a
No,
AI like image generation for it.
no, it is
Like,
very
hey, when you
real.
get Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, they go great together. Put them in a beat 'em up. And then this was a bit of being real. I was like, oh, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
real.
cool, I
Yeah,
guess. Is for very specific people who like side-scrolling beat 'em up
sure.
and Power Rangers, though.
Yes. But it seems like it has a lot of stuff for people who are fans of the Power Rangers to dig into. It's also by Digital Eclipse, who have been really great lately with the retro series that they've put out, like Atari 50 and the most recently re-release of Karateka and all sorts of other things. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see them working on something new.
Yeah.
Next up, we saw a big robot fighting game called Mecha Break, which looks a little too close to something like Gundam to not be a Gundam game. I was very confused by this. Next, we had a new free-to-play sci-fi looter shooter called The First Descendant. That's brought to you by Korean studio Nexon.
And that's coming
Uh,
out soon.
yes,
That's a
very
July
soon.
release, like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yes. Then next, we had exciting news for fans of one of the biggest releases from last year, Alan Wake 2. Already, we're getting DLC for the game, Night Springs, which will have 3 short stories set in the universe of Alan Wake 2. That's already out. It came out literally the day after the show on Friday. So people are already diving into that DLC. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Not an Alan Wake fan, but that's cool that it's like available to play right now.
It looked really fun. It looked like really fun, like even weirder than the main game content, which is pretty cool. Next, we saw some real more early footage of Skate, EA's resurrection of that skateboarding franchise.
Wait,
Um,
that skate? They're coming back with it?
that Skate, yes. The Skate reboot has been in the works for a few years here. It was kind of a passion project by people who, I guess, were members of the original Skate team. It is something that EA is funding, but it seems like are being very hands off and letting them finish, which is good because it's allowing them to make exactly the kind of skate game they want. The weirdest thing, the twist here, is that part of the reveal of this gameplay slash preview was accompanied with a live action short starring Tim Robinson. So he seems to be involved somehow in the marketing of this game. It
Hmm.
was pretty funny. I recommend looking up the short that they showed alongside it. It was his kind of sense of humor if you like that kind of thing. Also, turns out Tim Robinson's a skateboarder and apparently has a history of skating, which I did not know about him.
Oh,
That was a fun fact.
weird.
So maybe there is a reason why they got him to do the skates. Next up, Riot Games showed off a console version of Valorant, which is exciting for people who have been waiting to play Valorant for it to be on console. This also introduces, I guess, controller support for Valorant because I guess previously it had none. So there you go. But that will be a beta test will launch on June 14th for people who are curious about how that controls on a controller.
Hey, that's this weekend.
That's this weekend. Next up, we had the other, besides the Blumhouse, we had another real cool one of my highlights of the show here, which was developer Innersloth, creators of the Among Us game, have decided to pay it forward and are funding a publishing arm called Outer Sloth, in which they will use the money that they've made from Among Us to fund smaller devs' new projects. So they announced a handful of those new projects, some that had been previously announced but didn't have a publisher. Now they do. Also, they showed a brief clip of the new Among Us animated series that is coming soon, but with no audio, even though the whole thing is they got a bunch of really crazy voice actors to be in this thing. It is a star-studded cast. I recommend you checking it out, including a surprise Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, we
Uh,
always love surprise Patton Oswald.
we always do. So yeah, that looks like that could be actually pretty cool. So we'll see what's that's like. But yeah, Outer Sloth, really, really cool idea. And I'm really I think it's a really cool thing for them to do. Next up, we saw a trailer for Dune Awakening, a survival MMO based on the Dune series. So that seems to be kind of in like I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me because I don't have a whole lot of context for the Dune universe, but it was proposed as basically a what if scenario for the Doom timeline. And people who like Doom probably liked that. So there you go. Next up, oh, I just realized we also probably have to talk about Xbox.
Yeah, do we?
I Yes, we do, because a lot of important stuff happened there. So I'm gonna speed through the rest of this, and yeah, I'll have to open up a link for Xbox as well.
Mhm.
Okay, after Dune, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, we got some trailer for that. We had new gameplay for Slitterhead, the new game that I hate the name of, created by the creator of Silent Hill, the original creator, uh, horror game. Delta Force, I guess, is coming back. The old PC shooter franchise will return with Hawk Ops, which sounds bad to say with my mouth. Delta Force Hawk Ops. You kind of have to contort. That's a based on real events kind of military shooter. We got the announcement of the Killer Bean game. Did you know what this was? Did you know what Killer Bean is?
No.
So Killer Bean, I guess, is a internet a like cult favorite internet and video series that's had like movies back in like 2008. Well, I guess they're revitalizing this character and making a video game about this. He's literally a coffee bean with guns who does espionage and spy shit. Yes, you heard me right.
No.
So it's called Killer Bean, and it will be coming this year. Uh, Next, we had Wander Stop from Annapurna, which appears to be a cozy farming sim with secrets. Next, we had New World Aeternum, which is a new MMO from Amazon Studios. Yes, we're finally getting another game from Amazon. Um, Pal World will be getting a new island and more pals. There will be an update coming June 27th for that if you're still in the Pal World. We saw another preview for Monster Hunter Wilds, and now we got confirmation that crossplay will be available for multiple platforms. So you will be able to play with your friends on other platforms, something you couldn't do on Monster Hunter Worlds. So that's pretty cool. Then there was Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess, yet another samurai style game that we've seen a lot of.
Remember what I
And
said that's
lastly,
being flooded by the market by those?
yes, and lastly, we had another one of those called Phantom Blade Zero, which is the new game from S Games that involves even more sword slashing combat. So big year for slashing katanas around. Overall, it was an okay show. I mentioned my highlights where I like to see developers paying it forward and like a lot like publishing other games by smaller devs who maybe can't afford it. And it was really cool to see those smaller devs on this stage. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. All right. I'm
Yeah,
gonna move on here to Xbox
yeah,
showcase here.
yeah. Like I said, I caught a lot of the trailers from this. Some of them looked good, some of them looked interesting. A lot of games were announced, but
Yeah.
as you also mentioned, as we're going to get to, Xbox also had their own showcase, which, depending on who you were, either thought this was the best thing they've done in the past 10 years or surprised that they finally caught up to some people.
Yes, exactly. All right. So let's go recap what happened in the Xbox thing. They started, of course, with footage of Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Also, after the show, they had a more focused direct about it. I chose not to watch that, but it seems like if people want a return to the Black Ops series, getting into real historical events, but having a fictional take on them, Black Ops 6 does seem to be a return to that form. So, yeah, Call of Duty fans have a lot to look forward to there. And day one on Game Pass, which is pretty cool. I will not have to pay $670 to play this game, which is pretty awesome in my book.
Hey, isn't this exactly what they were talking about during the FCC
Yes.
about Xbox getting Game Pass getting Call of Duty?
Yeah, but everybody gets to play it now. It's pretty cool. Next up, another very exciting announcement. Doom is back. The new Doom will be called Doom the Dark Ages, and will have some sort of weird medieval theme going on. I don't care. Doom, the new Dooms are really fun, and I'm excited to play this. And this will also be day one on Game Pass. So yeah, no brainer. I am ready to jump back and kill some demons. It is
Yeah,
time.
this looked fun.
Yeah,
This is probably the
love.
best one that they had at the showcase.
Oh wow, okay. That was my highlight. I'll get to that later. Um, Next up, State of Decay 3. If you like zombies,
Hmm.
more zombies are coming. Those State of Decay games apparently do pretty well for them, so they keep making more. Next up, EA popped in to reveal the first trailer for Dragon Age The Veilguard. That's not it's that hadn't been its name before this, but now it is its name as of this show. The newly named The Veilguard will be out, I believe, later this year. They're trying to get that out, and yeah, despite the trailer being very kind of Borderlandsy and kind of light, it will be a Dragon Age game. It will continue the story from the previous game, Dragon Age Inquisition. So yeah, people are looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Next up, Bethesda is doing more expansion for Starfield. The new expansion will be called The Shattered Space, and will also introduce a lot of custom content for people to jump into and create. There will be a custom store where you can put in and buy other people's custom content as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool that they're expanding it in that way. And maybe not get me back into Starfield, but maybe get someone out there back into Starfield. And as Bethesda is wont to do, they also announced a new expansion for Fallout 76. The Appalachians are expanding, and you will be able to venture southward into Skyline Valley. So people who love 76, there'll be more 76 to play. We then saw more footage of South of Midnight, the new adventure game coming from what studio is this? I don't know why it doesn't say on Xbox own thing here. But yeah, this is a southern themed, kind of in the bayou action adventure game. It looks like it's very character action and it's combat. I thought it looked a lot of fun, and it has a unique look. It's kind of got the kind of stutter step, low frame rate kind of vibe in its animations, especially in its cutscenes. And I am all about the vibe of this one. I think South of Midnight looks really, really cool.
Wait, that was on purpose?
That was on purpose. That I think is
Oh,
how that game's supposed to look. Yes.
I I might have to rewatch the trailer then.
Yes. So yeah, that is a 2025 game.
Yes.
Next up, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. Hey, do you like French stuff? Hey, do you also like turn-based RPGs? Well, how about a French-themed turn-based RPG? That is what it appears that Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is, and it looks neat. I don't know.
So if I want turn-based RPG, I'll just go do Honkai Star Rail.
Well, this sure looks a lot better visually than Star Rail does. Next up, I was certainly excited to see the return of one of my favorite franchises, Perfect Dark. After being announced a few years ago and kind of left by the wayside, we have finally seen the first footage of Perfect Dark.
You mean James Bond?
I mean, that's the thing. Perfect Dark has always been a spy game, and we're back doing more spy shit. Joanna Dark is back from the last game. This seems to take place later in the timeline. Uh, there's all sorts of spy stuff as well as some really cool shooting and parkour. A lot of people pointed out similarities visually to Mirror's Edge, and I think any game that looks like Mirror's Edge is a win in my book because that's a cool looking franchise. So yeah, I am all aboard. Give me Perfect Dark. That sounds amazing. It seems like they've finally found the right track to for this game. I think it looked cool. New expansion for the World of Warcraft will be called The War Within and will start August 26th. Yes, you are right. We are getting these trailers here because there is no BlizzCon this year.
Yep.
Next up, if you thought Civ wasn't enough and you want gods to be in your strategy game, Age of Mythology Retold was announced. It is a remake, as the name implies, of Age of Mythology. It follows the remakes of Age of Empires that have been hitting PC and Xbox on Game Pass the last few years. So this will continue where that left off.
Yep. This is Norse, Greek, and Egyptian, I want to say mythology,
Yeah,
all
a
thrown
lot
into
of
one.
different mythological figures in this game. Next, we had Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, which was a Souls-like that looks like kind of steampunky. I don't know. I kind of checked out on this one. I did not care.
Well, yeah, I'm out on all Souls-like games.
Yeah, yeah, it loses me there a little bit. They showed footage of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. That looks like a Metal Gear game, so they seem to be doing it right.
Hmm.
And then a new trailer for the Diablo 4 expansion, Vessel of Hatred. We have a release date for that as well, October 8th. So that will be paid. That will not be a full, that will not be a free add-on. You will have to pay for that. Next up, Fable. We got more footage of Fable. People who are fans of Fable seem like that this is hitting the right notes. So congratulations to them. Looks like it's a fun, funny Fable game, which is, hey, that's what people want.
Yep. Again, not for me.
Yeah, I might check that out. It'll be day one on Game Pass, which helps. Sea of Thieves will get new content. Season 13 of that game launches on July 25th. We saw a really impressive cutscene and little gameplay of Indiana Jones at the Great Circle. I really like the vibe that that game is going for. It feels like it's nailing the tone of those Indiana Jones movies. I think that game looks cool.
Not to be confused with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny,
No,
or Indiana Jones and
unrelated.
the Golden Compass.
Yeah, unrelated to those things. New, if you were, in case you weren't already done with Overwatch likes, there was a one in the Xbox showcase called Frag Punk. So, but it has cards in it. So there you go, cards.
Yay!
A little adventure game where you are a mouse called Winter Burrow. There was a music-based teen game called Mixtape, which was a highlight for me.
I'll say
Not
this
a
one was
whole
right up your alley.
Yeah, not a whole lot of details about what the game is, but it seems like you are reliving a 80s teenager's life, which seems pretty cool, along with a licensed soundtrack. New footage of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 was shown. It still looks like that game. Footage from Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows was shown briefly. More of that was at the Ubisoft show yesterday.
Hmm.
We saw Sniper Elite developer Rebellion's new game, Atomfall, which looks very Fallout, but in Britain, which is a cool like way of doing that. So we'll see more of that to come. Another highlight for me, Life is Strange is back with a game called Double Exposure, and none other than Max Caulfield from the original game will be returning as the main character. It looks like she will be able to use at least a version of her time shifting powers that she introduced in the original Life is Strange game to solve a new murder mystery. So yeah, that game will be coming out later this year, and I am so excited for that.
I figured you would be. Uh, it's been a while because I think we actually skipped. No, we both played True Colors,
Yes,
but I think we both skipped the one before that.
two. Yeah, I did not
Two,
play
Life is
Life is
Strange
Strange
2.
2 because it did not involve the characters or the world of the original, and so I was
Hmm.
like, I'll pass. Next up, More footage of Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. That game still hasn't come out, but we'll see. New footage of the Wu Chong Fallen Feathers game, which is another Journey to the West adaptation. That's pretty much all you need to know there. And then really brief footage of Avowed, that Obsidian Skyrim like.
Mhm.
But yeah, that game is still coming out this year.
I believe that's not an Xbox exclusive as well.
No, I don't think it is, but maybe. I don't remember. But the last two big reveals were that they have confirmed that new hardware is coming out in the form of a 2 terabyte SSD Xbox Series X, as
Yep.
well as a 1 terabyte Series S. So, oh, and notably, there will also be a Series X 1 terabyte that will not have a disk drive. So, if you want an all digital Series X, that is now an option for you. But of course, last but definitely not least, for people who care about such a thing, Gears of War is back. They announced the last thing was a new Gears of War game called E-Day. It will be a prequel to the original Gears of War, where you will be able to see the initial onslaught of the Locust. So, yeah.
So you get to see Marcus Phoenix again
Yeah. Yeah.
because you damn sure couldn't see him in Gears 5.
In the Gears 5, no. So yeah. So yeah, overall, like you said, I think that a lot of people did think that Microsoft did what they needed to do, which was remind people of all the games that are coming out, because right now it doesn't feel like they have much to rally around. I think it did that for the most part. I think that they do have a pretty open future. It doesn't stop, though, that nagging feeling that they could shut down any of these studios at any point, because we've seen them do it, and it is kind of scary. But besides that, they did what they had to do.
It also feels like a showcase that they should have had 4 years ago
Yes.
of all their big publishers. Well, before they acquired like half of them,
Hmm.
saying here's the games that you can play within the next year
Right.
instead of, oh, down the pipeline, in the pipeline, coming down, besides the annual games like Forza that they always have.
Yeah. I don't know. But this is a lot to kind of bite into. It's a lot to look forward to. So I
Yep.
just hope they deliver on him. I hope they do well enough so that those people still have jobs by the end of the time, end of their time there, because oof, it seems rough. All right. I'll just say briefly, like the some highlights. I really liked Mixtape. I really liked Life is Strange. There was a game called Building Relationships that I recommend you look up. It is a dating sim where you are a house.
You're dating the house.
You are a house dating other houses. At one point, you go fishing and you fish for cars. It looks amazing. But yeah, there were all sorts of games. We do not have time, unfortunately, to go into that all of the Summer Games Fest stuff. But it was a good time.
No, but we did get through, I don't know, it felt like half hour full of just games,
Yeah, there's a lot of games.
if not more. All right. Let's see here. Did you play anything?
I don't have time to talk about it, but I did get my adapter for the computer, so now I can play my guitar controllers on the PC. So I did dive into the very deep world of Clone Hero, the custom Guitar Hero experience that people have built, the community has built online. It is quite a rabbit hole, and you can play all sorts of songs on that thing. It's I have barely scratched the surface. I'm excited to play more, but yeah, it's a lot of fun and it works. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's all I played.
Okay. I will be brief because I did finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth officially now. Finally
Woo!
got through the end, defeated Sephiroth, and on to the next chapter of the journey. But not before I got to go back in and sweep everything up that I didn't get to complete, which was like maybe 3 missions. Because I got
Dang.
to the end, I was like, I just got it. Because one of them is you got to defeat the Odin summon in order to be able to summon him in order to unlock the next part of the mission. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that fight is so hard, freaking difficult. But I think I've pretty much done all there is to do in that game. And I better have because it's taken me 100 hours just to beat the game.
Yeah, I bet.
But there's still that platinum trophy lingering out there.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, okay,
Anyways, I had a lot of fun with it. 100 Hours says I had a lot of fun with it.
cool.
Doing all the missions says I had a lot of fun with it. None of it felt too either repetitive or just kind of like a slog to get through in terms of the missions. So I had a lot of fun doing all the different side missions and side contents and lots of mini games. Never got bored. Always different
Yeah,
mini games to do.
yeah. A lot of content in that game.
Yep.
Well, I look forward to at the end of the year fighting with you over which will be the site's game of the year, Final Fantasy Rebirth or Life is Strange Double Exposure.
We'll see.
Going down to the mat. Anyway. All right. Then let's jump into the second half of the show here. We have some late breaking sports news that you're adding here because we always start with the Sports Corner. And the Sports Corner this week begins with a Wimbledon wrap up. Your Wimbledon winners. I love all the alliteration here.
Yes.
Iga Swiatek. Swiatek?
Iga
Swiatek.
Swiatek.
Swiatek swept the women's tournament and has become the first woman with 3 in a row since Justine Heinen from 2007 to 2009. Meanwhile,
Technically, Iga also won in 2020. So which means of the last 4 tournaments, Iga has only not won one of them.
wow, it's pretty crazy. Meanwhile, Carlos Alcaraz won the men's championship.
Wait, sorry. That's 5. It's because she has 4, 3 plus 1 minus 1. It's 4, 5. Yeah. Because it's
Math.
2020. You got to count 2020 as 1. So
Yeah,
2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. She did not win in 2021 to defend her
exactly.
title, but she defended it twice since. And then, yes, because as we reported, Novak Djokovic was unable to or pulled himself out of the Wimbledon tournament, left the door wide open for Carlos Alcaraz to come in and sweep his side as well.
Got it. Well, that's exciting.
Yep.
In the
He
mean,
also becomes the youngest person to win at Wimbledon at age 20 and some odd days. So
wow,
there was technically no champagne out there flowing for him.
he couldn't have it. Well,
Actually, it was in France. So yes, there was.
yeah,
There
no,
was
he
plenty of
could
it.
definitely have had it. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, wait, wasn't it in Europe? And yeah,
Yes, it was.
you can drink in
It's the
France.
French Open. Yes, it was.
Anyway, next up, the UFL Championship game. Is it happened? Has it happened? Is it happening? What's going on here?
Oh, it will happen. It is the Birmingham Stallions versus the San Antonio Broncos.
All right.
That game will happen this upcoming weekend.
This weekend. So we'll have a winner for you next week by the time that that is all said and done. And then, yes, the Paris Olympics are still scheduled for July 26th.
Yes.
All right, moving into headlines from the leagues, from across the leagues. We have nothing really going on in the NFL, but baseball. We had the Mets and the Phillies had their split weekend series at London Stadium this past week. This was the third series in 5 years for MLB games in London. So, has it happened? Has it worked? Are British people excited about baseball yet?
Not quite, but the players seem to be excited to take some time off and fly over there and play some games in London. No
Okay.
word on when slash if there will ever be a London team, unlike the NFL, where they desperately are trying to figure out how to get a London team.
Right.
But people seem to actually go to the London game. It is a rare event to occur out there.
Yeah, no, it's not something you see every day. So,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, there. I think what's probably going to end up happening is that either preseason or mid-season, they'll set up a tournament in London for teams to play, so I would have to keep flying back and forth and back and forth. Maybe what they should do is the teams that don't make it to the uh playoffs, the into October, go over there for October and play some games there instead.
Yeah, maybe.
Consolation
Yes.
prize.
Yeah,
Although is it
I
really
guess
that is
so.
it a bad consolation prize if you go to London to play baseball?
No, I think that they appreciate, like you said, I think that like the players like the change of pace,
Yeah.
like being able to hop on a plane and go somewhere they haven't been before,
Mhm.
potentially, or don't go often. Meanwhile, outside the MLB, it is final town for the NBA and the NHL. We have our NBA finals right now, where the Celtics are up 2-0 against the your thing is covering it. Okay, the Mavericks. Sorry, your name was covering the Mavericks
Oh,
name. Um, so yeah, we'll have to see if they're gonna catch up in the series there.
don't
Chances
know.
are no.
Celtics were the best team in the
Yeah.
NBA this season,
So yeah, probably not.
and kind of like figure that they're going to go up 2-0.
Meanwhile, in the NHL, the Panthers are up similarly with a 2-0 series lead against the Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals.
And so far, not touching that championship trophy is paying off for the Panthers.
I guess so. Yeah, they didn't want to jinx it, and they were right. And then it will follow up for the college tournaments. The women's college World Series finals are between were between Oklahoma and Texas, and Oklahoma celebrated their fourth championship.
In a row.
Yeah.
I think it's their sixth title, no, seventh title altogether for the softball team, but they're fourth in a row. So
Dang.
congratulations. It is very difficult to win a championship 4 times in a row. Four
Yeah,
feet.
that is quite a feat, certainly. Then, meanwhile, the men's tournament is down to the Elite Eight. The championship series will be on June 22nd. So there you go.
Yep. We will know who will be playing in the semis next week.
Next. Meanwhile, we're going to segue right out of sports into a sports television story to be our lead television story this week. And yeah, I saw this and immediately knew. I was like, okay, this is our story.
Yep.
The NBA is playing a new game with rights, with broadcast rights, as they have inked a brand new deal that would see NBC, Amazon, and Disney ESPN net $76 billion over the next 11 years. NBC Universal is expected to pay 2.5 million a year, or
That's right. No,
is
this
that
is Bill.
billion?
This is all billion. Sorry.
These are all B's.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are all
Two,
B's. We're talking big time, big bucks
big
here.
money. $2.5 billion a year for 100 games, with half becoming Peacock exclusive. Amazon is expected to pay $1.8 billion a year for regular season and playoff games, the new NBA in-season tournament, and for final playoff spot games. Disney is expected to pay $2.6 billion a year to keep the NBA Finals. The new deal is a 2.5 times increase in annual fees for the NBA to $7.9 billion a year, and will also include WNBA games. Warner Brothers Discovery had a chance to renew its deal before the April 22nd deadline, but now has the opportunity to either match NBC or Amazon's deals to retain the rights or give them up. So that means that this could be the last season that we have TNT and USA coverage of basketball games, including inside the NBA, right? Like that could be a dead program after
Correct.
this.
There is a possibility that because Inside the NBA is owned by the NBA
Yes.
itself and not TNT,
Oh, they
that
could move it.
they could move it probably to Amazon or
Hmm.
yeah, probably Amazon because NBC's only get 100 games. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And they're not going to go to ESPN and Disney for that. So yeah, it'd be Amazon.
So here's my question about this. How, if Amazon's a streaming service,
Yep.
how does the regular season games work? Does this act in lieu of a league pass, or does league pass still exist, and do they just pick a la carte? Like, what does this mean for blackout games? Like, what? There's a lot of questions because of the flexibility that streaming allows, what they're going to broadcast and what they're not.
Yeah, because it's no longer like TNT
Yeah,
USA just to
they're not
broadcast.
limited to having one thing on a cable network.
Well, even NBC, when football comes around, well, football is going to take priority for NBC at Sunday
Yeah,
nights, which
absolutely. Yeah.
means the games will go from Sunday nights to Tuesday nights instead. Because they don't want to
Mhm.
compete Monday night with Monday Night Football. They'll do Tuesday nights
I'm just saying this could be
broadcasting.
potentially really cool for people who are getting into basketball, as it could open up the ability to watch basketball games that you previously didn't have exposure to.
I think it's a way for it to open up to people outside of the US, as
That
Amazon
too.
Prime itself is more or less everywhere at this point.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see when this deal is finalized, and in the future, I'm sure more details will come out. Because yeah, I'm very curious about exactly how Amazon will be tackling this.
Yes.
Um,
Part of
yeah.
that $2.6 billion for Disney, however, even though it is the most out of all three of these networks,
Mhm.
one is the NBA Finals, where all the eyes
Right.
are going to be on at the
Where
end.
you want it. Yeah.
Same with the championship games, but two, it includes ESPN, which they normally do basketball, Friday basketball as well, but also any um whatever that new streaming bundle sports thing that they're
Yes,
doing.
right. There also a big question is what that means for all of this.
The NBA will be a part of that now.
It would have to be because all these
Yes.
networks are involved. The one that wasn't was Warner, right? Or no? Am I getting that mixed up?
The
No,
one
the
that
one that wasn't was CBS.
yes. Yeah.
So, yeah,
So the NBA would be a part of
right.
the venue. That's what we called it.
A venue, yes.
Yes.
If and when that happens.
Right. Sometime in the fall,
If
which
if
would
it
probably
gets
be
past
right when the
regulation.
NBA season starts in October.
Yeah, it could be a lucrative time,
Yep.
but we'll see. Speaking of lucrative time, I think we have lucrative time for you to talk about a couple of shows that you watched this week.
I'm gonna get the quick one out of the way. Hey, remember we talked about Jay Farrow's big ass balls?
I remember The Quiz with Balls. So did you finally watch The Quiz with Balls?
I did. I did watch Jay Farrow's big ass balls
All right,
knock
how were
people
Jay
around.
Farrow's balls?
They're huge.
Yeah.
And these people are dumb.
Uh-huh.
I feel like some of these questions are super easy that it's like, oh, well, I know. So there's six questions, six, with six big balls on top of it. And there's six people to a team. You have or sorry, five people to a team. So you stand in one in each slot. You cannot double up. So five answers are correct, one is wrong. If you choose the one that's wrong, you get thrown into the water and you're out. So you want to have more people at the towards the end, so you can get more chances to guess correctly. Until you get to the end, where it's one person going one on one in the quiz, where they have to guess all five answers correctly in a one by one round.
Oh no.
So one wrong guess and you lose out on the $1 million. But you get to
And I'm
keep
sure
whatever you built up till then.
and I'm sure there's a lot of people losing that $1 million.
Oh, there's a lot of people losing that $1 million because you got to be perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a good summer show. I can easily see why this got picked up by
Yeah.
Fox. It's a very, very easy, fun show to get into, much like The Floor, where I think the biggest thing you have is just resetting the balls every single time.
Hmm.
But other than that, it's a fun show. It's easy to sit on the couch and watch and be like, oh, it's this, and I think these two, but I'm not sure. Rather than like putting yourself actually out there and like
Yeah.
uh, you know, potentially getting thrown off into the deep end.
All
But I
right.
think it's
Well,
fun. I think Jay
okay.
Farrow's a fine host.
Okay,
He
that's
keeps he
good.
keeps it
That's good.
moving. He definitely keeps it moving. Lighthearted jokes, nothing too Steve Harvey-esque over the top, but also he doesn't need to be. Let the balls do the talking.
Not gonna dwell on that too long.
Oh, come on. I set that up right there.
You also finished Hacks. So how was season three?
Did you finish Hacks?
I have not started it. I'm way behind.
Oh, okay.
Running
Season
around
three
here.
of Hacks gets back to Deborah Vance's lifelong goal of getting back to late night because that was a dream of hers. She had it. She had the taping. It's set up in season one and season two, actually in season one, and then like it never happened. So here is the revenge tour, so to say.
Mm.
So I think it goes a lot into what I like about Hacks is that it's a lot of those tongue-in-cheek, behind the scenes, how deals in Hollywood and comedians get made. Because we had first the comeback tour. No, sorry. First we had the comeback special. Then we had the comeback tour. Now we have the comeback late night edition. So I like what they're doing with it. I like how it keeps building upon it, and I like the slow corruption of Ava into from this beautiful, delicate flower to this hardened businesswoman that she's become
That's funny.
just by slowly being around Deborah more and more. So
Hmm.
I'm excited. There's at least another season, which we announced last week. So I'm excited to see what they do with this whole new late night angle that they're going with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. I'm glad it was another success. I know that they already renewed it, so you will get more hacks. So cool.
Yep.
All righty. Well, with that, let's move on with the show and let's talk about some cancellations and
What am I
renewals.
no longer watching?
You will no longer watch All American Homecoming, as its finale will take place after its third season on the CW.
This upcoming third season will be the finale.
Correct. Meanwhile, Max has canceled Tokyo Vice after 2 seasons there. It's out.
Yep.
Netflix has announced that the second season of Arcane will be its last. So quick one there for
Not
Arcane.
Netflix. The creators behind Arcane have said they will
Right.
only do 2 seasons of
But
Arcane, but they have not ruled out doing additional spin-offs based in the same universe.
I could see that happening. It wouldn't be too surprising there.
Mhm.
Next up, Prime Video has said that the fifth season of The Boys will be its last.
Same thing. Not Prime Video coming out saying it. The
Right.
show's creator, Eric Kripke, saying that he wants season 5 to be its finale. He has no plans after season 5 to continue.
Mm,
But we still have the boys Generation V
right.
that has no ending in sight.
So yeah, I like creators going out and saying like, no, it should end then, and
Mm-hmm.
getting them what they want. That's really cool.
Yep.
Next up, Netflix has said that The Upshaws will see its finale after its seventh season. I don't know what that is, and I don't know how it lasted 7 seasons.
Uh, I want to say this is a comedy, The Upshaws.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is Netflix canceling it after seven
Yeah.
seasons.
Next up, some renewals. Paramount Plus will be renewing Criminal Minds Evolution for a third season.
Mm-hmm.
Peacock will bring back Heart to Heart for a fourth season.
That's the Kevin Hart one-on-one.
Yes. BET will bring back Average Joe for a second season. Beavis and Butthead will get a third season of its current reboot, but this time it will be on television proper on Comedy Central. It will not be locked specifically to Paramount Plus like the first 2 seasons of the reboot happen.
Yep, this does mean that those 2 seasons will be come out on Comedy Central
Yes.
right before season 3.
This is a smart move. I've heard good things about that reboot. Apparently, they did it correctly. So, do you think that this is due to the renewed interest in Beavis and Butthead thanks to that SNL sketch
SNL
from a few
sketch.
weeks ago? Is that what
Uh,
happened?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But the thing is that the cartoon was already on
Right. They
Paramount
had
Plus
already
for two
rebooted it. Yeah.
seasons.
So, I don't know. Just think it's weird that they're moving it to television, but
Yeah.
And then lastly, Apple TV Plus says that Palm Royale will get a second season.
Oh, good.
There you go. All right, let's move into the last part of the show here, movies, and we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. Your number one movie this weekend was, of course, the new debut, Bad Boys Ride or Die, which debuted to a tune of 56 million. Yes, you're right. That's right. Bad Boys did better than Furiosa did Memorial Weekend. Just let that sink in for a second. Maybe they should have been reversed.
Uh, Bad Boys did better in 3 days than Furiosa did over 4.
Yikes. That's just bad news, I think. Bad Boys, more like bad news. But yeah, Bad Boys made a splash. Congratulations to that movie.
Yeah, but what you gonna
But
do?
yeah. But it's sad to see Furiosa sneak out of the top 5 this week, as number 2 is the Garfield movie with another 10 million. That's at 68. Number 3, If with another 7.8. That's at 93. Number 4, The Watchers with $7 million in its debut. And rounding out your top 5, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes with another 5.4. That's just barely at 150, at 149.
Yes, Furiosa is at number 6
Mm,
with $58 million total. So
yeah.
even after 2 weekends,
It Yeah.
Bad Boys is only 2 million away from it.
As hey, there's no accounting for taste, as we are wont to say.
Apparently, people really, really, really wanted to see Will Smith back in the box office.
I guess so. This week's new release will be Pixar's Inside Out 2. We will be seeing this before next week's show, so we'll be able to give feedback about how we feel about Inside Out 2 next week on our show.
Ah, we'll give our
Ha!
thoughts about our
Yes,
feelings on Inside Out 2.
we will. We definitely will. Speaking of Pixar, that's a perfect segue into our story for the week, as we're going to be talking about Pixar. Inside Out 2 is Pixar's only theatrical release this calendar year, but their next project, Elio, directed by Adrian Molina, who previously directed Coco, will release a full year later on June 13th, 2025. Now, Pixar has announced the next film after that, and it will be none other than Toy Story 5. It will be directed by Andrew Stanton, who, of course, directed Finding Nemo and WALL-E, among many others, and will follow the adventures of Woody, Buzz, and the rest of the Toy Story gang. Yes, that's right. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen will be back, as will the core cast for Toy Story 4, which we last saw in 2019. Now, that offers a lot of questions about what Toy Story 5 will be, because Toy Story 4 ended in a very specific way.
Yes, Toy Story 3 also ended in a very specific way.
Hmm.
However, at least those toys were still together at the
They
very end, going on new
yeah,
adventures.
they figured something out. But in this case, they have a lot of work to do to explaining how Woody and Buzz could be in the same story again.
To be fair, they really didn't explain that much how Bo Peep was able to come back. So
They
I
did.
don't
They
think
kind
they
of explained it away.
necessarily have to have a good explanation.
I think a question is yes. When you send Woody on his own adventure, how do you bring him back into the fold, or do you? And I think that there's a lot of story work that I do not wish upon anybody. And so yeah, I feel bad for the people in Pixar story department who have to figure that mess out. But not me.
Here's a mess to figure out. It will be since Toy Story 5 is going to come out in 2026. That'll be 7 years since
Yeah.
Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Will they age Bonnie up 7 years?
I
Or
mean,
will
maybe.
they keep Forky around for 7 years?
Jeez. A lot of there's also some really good questions we need to ask about the age of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen in 2026, but that's another question we do not have time for.
By the time that movie comes out, they will be playing these characters for 30 years.
Correct. Yes. The 30th anniversary of Toy Story will be next year.
Yes.
Let that sink in.
And then Toy Story 5 will come out the year after that.
Yes. I don't want to think about it. Anyways,
Anyways,
so
you don't
yeah.
have to because we're done. You don't have to think about it anymore. We're done.
Don't have to think about it. But we will have to think about next week's show, as we will be back with another episode of the Media Boat Podcast next week. If you want to see us in video form, you can find us on our YouTube channel. Search Media Boat Podcast to find that. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications when new videos go live. You can also hear us in audio form on a podcatcher of your choice by typing in Media Boat Podcast and finding our feed. You can also find us on the internet, mediaboatpodcast.com. You can also find us on the internet via social media like X/Twitter, where we're at MediaBoatCast, Blue
And where
Sky, where
game
we're at
consoles aren't.
yes, where game consoles aren't. We are still there. You can also find us on Blue Sky. Just search Media Boat Podcast there. You can also find us by emailing us any questions, comments, feedback about the show. Mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com is that email address. Do you have any streaming ideas coming up? You have finished Final Fantasy Rebirth. What do you have any other games that you were thinking about streaming on twitch.tv/mediaboat?
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, yes, you do.
It's Game of the Year 2023.
Oh.
Available on the PlayStation now. Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush. Well, that's exciting. All right. Well, if you want to tune in and watch Mike play some Hi-Fi Rush, you can do so on MediaBoat. Twitch.tv/MediaBoat. That's where that will be happening. All right. that'll be it for this week. Thanks for joining us for the Media Boat Podcast. We will see y'all next week with thoughts about Inside Out 2, among many, many others.
Yep.
So
We'll
tune
have
in then.
thoughts on Inside Out 2. We'll have thoughts on The Acolyte. Yes, it's out. Only 2 episodes, so I'm waiting for the next one to give
Yes.
proper thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some Fathers and Sons by Luke Combs. We'll see.
All
All that and
righty.
more next time.
Don't forget Happy Father's Day to your fathers all over the world if you have them. Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye.